My dear fellow listeners and viewers, good evening once again, and welcome to another edition of Let's Chit Chat with Narine Dat. Let's Chit Chat with Narine Dat is a Canadian initiative with a unique impact. There are a few different ways to listen to us. You can listen to us on a regular dial, that's the radio, 102.7 CKMS FM. You can listen to us on Rogers Digital Cable for those of you who have the Rogers Digital Box. And of course, we're also live stream or chit chat here. So do take the opportunity to share a page. We ask you to stay with us if you like to learn a thing or two. However, if you're looking for an opportunity to vent out negativity, this is not for you. Tonight, we have the multi-talented Anil Sokol joining us here. So Anil, how are you doing tonight, sir?
Doing very, very well. Thank you very much for asking, and thank you for the opportunity to be here with you.
All right. So we're glad that you took the time, despite the fact that you have, your own things to deal with. But we appreciate you joining us. Do know that. What we are going to do, of course, we'll take every opportunity to get to know you as an individual, as a person, your passion for music and all of that. That's the purpose of the show to begin with. But we want to give you the opportunity to introduce yourself to us because we know that works best because you know yourself better than I do. So take it away, introduce yourself, and I will get into the musical aspect of things. So take it away.
Perfect. Thank you so much. So yeah, my name is Anil Sokol, correct name. Stage name is Mr. Duniya. I've been singing professionally now for a little bit over 13 years, but singing and playing music in temple since the age of 6. I won't go as far as telling you how long that is, but for quite some time. My professional career is a marketing consultant. I work for Zillow, hugest real estate platform online currently, and we're soon to reach Canada as well. So I'm a senior sales executive and digital marketing consultant for them. I've been doing that for the past 3 years, and that is my professional career. So music is more so my passion and my love. It's my communication to God. I come from a very staunch and strict family in the Hindu religion. My father is Pandit Purushottam Sokol, and that Sokol last name should definitely ring a bell, as the entire Sokol dynasty, as I like to call it, are all pundits from back home in Guyana. I'm actually half Jamaican. My mother is from Jamaica, West Indies, Kamla Sokol. And her father was also a pundit and the founder of the first Hindu mandir in Jamaica, West Indies, called Sanatan Dharma Mandir. So very, very religious and very spiritual as well, growing up in the Hindu Dharma. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
All right. Well, thank you so much for that. That's a really good introduction, by the way. And that's one of the reasons why we have changed the format of our show to get to know the artists and get to know the guests on our show. Because, if they have a passion for music or or whatever form of arts, that's the only thing we get to see. But now that we've changed the format, with this chit chat here, we're really getting to know some really cool stuff about our guests. And thank you so much for sharing that with us. Based on your simple introduction there, it basically, if I was to summarize that, you really come from a very strong, good background, very rare. You will have somebody who have those kinds of, good foundation, because usually the foundation is key. So thank you so much. Do appreciate that. And thank you for sharing with us your professional careers as well, too, because, something we don't know, and we don't know what we don't know. So it's awesome. Right. I know many people, by the way, who have parents who are pundits and so on, but they never take along that path, not necessarily to do the panditai, but not even the musical aspect, not even the cultural piece, nothing along that line. What got you started? Because I've watched you, I've seen you, I know who you are, you're really good in what you do. That's one of the reasons I invited you in the first place. But what got you, into it, to the point where you're so passionate about it?
So that's a great question, actually. So the culture and the religion is first and foremost. My parents, as I told you, come from a very strong Hindu background, filled with pundits and religious leaders from back home in both Jamaica and Guyana. And migrating here to New York in the US, that carried through. My mother actually struggled to have kids when she married my father. And for that reason, my chacha, the late Pandit Chandrika Sukul, who was a big member of parliament in Guyana as well, very household name there. He founded a small family mandir in his basement where he lived in the Bronx, New York, whereas I'm originally born and raised. And the reason for that was to actually give my mom and fellow community members and family members a place to worship, because there was really no above ground mandir at that time. There was only, I think, one mandir in the Bronx at that time, and this was in the 80s. And my mom did steadfast devotion and fasting in order to get pregnant with me. And they say that I fought to be born. I fought faith and life and everything to be born. So I definitely came here with a purpose. The mandir is actually the same age as me, where it actually became established in April of 1988. It's called Durga Shiva Mandir in the Bronx. And so I was born and raised in that mandir, literally. And right out of mom's womb, they say I was like really kicking around while she was pregnant with me, and creating like beats and rhythm while she was pregnant with me. But definitely after I was born, I was just musically inclined from a very young age. Although none of my family members have taken music professionally or gotten any kind of education, classical training or anything like that in music. It was something that was a boon, so to speak, that was given to me from God. And throughout my entire youth, I was just drawn to music, magnetized to it. So that is the medium that was given to me at a young age from God that really built that passion within me. And growing in mandir, and so music to me was only bhajan and kirtan, right? Was only Hindu gospel, if you will, and religious and spiritual, until I started getting a little sense and education and started developing music and how broad it is, how many genres there are in just our music alone, mixed up and blended in there really nice and fused in there very nicely, is when I realized that this is really where my heart belongs. And it was only through the guidance and encouragement of my parents and a few family members, and more so my Guruji, that I took Janeo or Christian to that enlightened me to use and harness music in order to make it a medium of communication with God. And I would say that is the answer to your question, first and foremost. Like, I lead with music in front because it's the way that I communicate. It's the language that I speak with God. And so everything that I'm portraying whenever I should open my mouth to sing or put my hands on a harmonium or a dolak or any instrument of that matter, it is directly from the heart. It is with abundance of love, because it's coming from God and towards God as well. And so I think that has what has driven me for my entire career in music. And that is my motivation, and that is where the passion comes from. And I would say that is why I've been successful to this point.
Thank you so much for that. I have to tell you that when you speak, you also speak from the heart. I can tell you that for sure. I can see with a third eye, so
Thank you.
I can tell you that for sure. You're a very unique individual. There's no question about that. How about singers? It is not uncommon for a singer to kind of look up to other singers or kind of follow them along and kind of, improve themselves and become a better version of themselves. It's a natural thing. Do you happen to have people that you look up to and say, you know what, I see this person, where it will give me an opportunity to grow, kind of thing? Do you have anything as such, or not necessarily?
Of course. So I have local individuals that, would sing in our community here. And then growing up in music and having the opportunities to travel abroad and around the world, actually, I've met several singers as well. But I would say it started from my mother. My mother definitely encouraged me and instilled that knowledge and that love for music within me from a very, very tender age. My mother taught me my first set of mantras and my first bhajan and kirtan and so on. So I would say it stems from there. Um, this is a very tricky situation or tricky question because I was born in a generation that was right in between no internet, no media, and YouTube sensations, right? So I didn't have that growing up in music until a far age, I would say about 17, 18, where I have already been singing for 10 years, but nobody would ever know that, right? So in that sense, I want to use my words very politically, right? We didn't really have handouts in my generation growing up. There wasn't somebody who really took the torch and said, here, let me instill this in you and let me show you the way and teach you the way. We had individuals that I look up to as mentors that may not have ever met me until later on in my career, but I still absorb something from them like a sponge. So I have several of those. I mean, you'd have to break it down by genre for me to really start naming. But I mean, Hariom Sharanji, Anup Jalota ji, Jagjit Singh, Mohammed Rafi ji, Kishore Kumar, Kumar Sanu, Mukesh ji, you name it. Those are all people that I look up to and really mold in my presentation, so to speak. Wherein I have a little bit of everything inside of me, as well as local artists as well that I grew up amongst. One of my biggest role models in music to date is Adnan Sami. And I was given the name West Indian Adnan Sami at a very young age too. I think I was 18 by a local community figure here. And I think it was because of size, but definitely they say that my voice and the passion and love that I sing with resembles his presentation as well.
He's a Canadian born, by the way, just so you know.
Yes, yes, he is. He is. I know that.
Awesome. Good stuff. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. So where do you see yourself 5 years from now? Do you see yourself continuing on, with your passion for music, maybe doing some interesting, musical pieces and so on? Where do you see yourself from like 5 years?
Yeah, absolutely. I believe in bringing a higher quality, bringing something different and raising the bar. And hence majority of my projects as of late is not necessarily to have the biggest and best song out there. Although I dabble in almost every part and parcel of the industry when it comes to, I never forget my roots and my bhajans and my mandir. I'm the president of the same mandir that I speak of right now. And I also dabble in the chutney soca industry as well, as many of you who are locked on may have known already. I do a lot of the Bollywood fusion, the band singing, as well as the ground singing, and I keep my culture alive in the best way possible. So that will always continue. I will never forget my roots for sure. That's something that I've thrived on my entire career. But I want to take it to the next level. I want to bring awareness. I think that our culture and our music need to be played on mainstream. I believe that it's lost within, I think Trinidadians call it bacchanal, right? It's lost within crabs in a barrel mentality amongst West Indians, wherein we're pulling each other down instead of pushing each other as one. So my projects as of late have all been to raise the bar, to bring a higher quality of music and culture on a whole. And so I will continue along those lines. I definitely see more phenomenal productions in the future, in the next 5 years. Something that I started just this year, I actually released my first music video, and I started with a bhajan that I always do around Shivratri. And it's always my first contribution to every year. And I'm very, very, very proud of this because it's long overdue, especially in the world that we live in right now. I believe that a visual is very important. such a similar to what we're doing right now.
Correct.
So it's important to have some kind of visual with any audio that we're releasing. And so my promise is moving forward is to continue to bring a music video to every song that I would release, every album that I would release. We're working on several virtual events, and eventually when the market is opened up completely and we're back to some kind of normalcy, we'll have both virtual and some sort of hybrid events where people can actually attend with safe social distancing in effect. But those who that can't attend will also be able to lock on and view it live as well. So I have my own organization that I'm partnered with another one of my mentors and my big brother, who's actually a big influence in my music as well. His name is Ramdin, the youngest son of Esther John Ramdin, who's a household name in Trinidad and Tobago. And we have merged our companies together. So I am the founder of Duniya Movements, that has been thriving here in New York City for quite some time. And he is the founder of Music Head, that started off as a clothing line, but now we're an entire enterprise corporation. And the official launch of that is coming in the near future. So now we have combined Music Head and Duniya Movements to create Music Movements. And that is our new organization that will be a conglomerate. We're hoping to have a record label under there, an entire production team with video, photography, cinematography, a studio, and etc. So everything will be all under one umbrella, and that is what I hope to achieve in the next 5 years.
Fantastic. You know, I like the fact that you have a plan. It's nice when you have a plan, because if you don't have a plan, you really wouldn't get anywhere. So that's a beautiful thing. You mentioned you mentioned a few interesting pieces. So let me highlight those ones very, very quickly. You mentioned that you're not necessarily looking for a #1 song. And so what that tells me is that you're more interested to produce quality over quantity. And that is a beautiful thing, because it is very easy for people to get lost, especially with the social media, and get lost and don't even know how they get lost. So you seem to be very grounded and you're doing all the right things. So make sure you keep it that way. That is extremely important, because we live in a different kind of world, right? So people just go where the number is, right? And where the fastness and the overnight pieces and so on. But I can assure you, once you do the right things and you are very consistent when you are responding, you're right. You want to make sure you stay grounded in terms of keeping the culture and stay close to your roots and so on. So that's a beautiful thing. So I really admire you for that, because not too many people kind of stick to those pieces. So that's awesome.
Very true.
I will be featuring that song that you did, that bhajan, by the way. But before I did that, you mentioned something very interesting when you were promoting it. I was watching as well, to just and so you said that you are very pleased that people supported you and made you feel comfortable, your own words, and made you feel comfortable in your own skin. What do you mean by
that? So obviously I'm a bit heavy set. I've been that way since I was born. I was born 12 pounds, 14 ounces. And every age of my life, I've been big. So it was a bit tough when I was younger to go through several kind of criticism, and, whether it be constructive or not, at a young age, it's hard to really understand or have that knowledge to accept it in that way. And so I did not appreciate my own appearance, so to speak. And that being said, there was a decline on whether or not I should do this music video, because I've had several recorded songs. I've been professionally recording since the age of 22. So for the past 10 years. And I did not want to put out a music video, although the opportunities have been given to me to travel abroad and even do it as well. I wasn't comfortable within my own skin to be on camera. And it's hard to really understand that from an outside perspective, because I'm always singing, I'm always in the spotlight, I'm always at stage shows and in public, and I'm a public figure. And one will truly never understand the fact that I actually do not like the spotlight on me. I do not like to walk into a room and I'm the center of attention. And so I had to develop ways to deal with that, like cracking a joke and being humble and developing a personality that's appealing to people and delivering with love, showing them that I have so much more to give than a physical appearance. Although that really doesn't matter, it took me a long time to get over those facts. So that is what I meant by being comfortable within my own skin. And that was a huge setback of mine as to why this first music video of mine took so long to actually put into place. And the positive out of that is the fact that a lot of thoughts and feelings and emotions went into this. Years and years and years went into this music video. Maybe not this direct idea and this particular song, but envisioning how to go about executing this. And I'm overwhelmed with the final product and the feedback that I've been getting thus far. And I thank all of my fans, my friends, my family for supporting me thus far, and can't wait for future projects to come.
Well, thank you, sir, for sharing that with us. You know, I will feature that song in a second here, but I have to tell you, and not that it matters, but I have to tell you that not one person disliked this song, you know, as of today, right? And
Yeah.
And because the thing is, I personally don't allow people to determine who I am or anything of that kind, but sometimes it's nice to know and see how people are thinking too, right? And
Yeah,
so
don't jinx it. Don't jinx it.
No, and that's okay. Believe me, man, we live in a different kind of world. You can do the best thing. I think there will always be one or two people, they do it really, really well. So I'm surprised that there is no, there was nothing on there.
I've learned that you cannot please everybody.
Absolutely.
And I try to take every single, no matter who it is, even if they don't really know anything about music, it's still constructive criticism to me, and I try to implement every bit of criticism that I would get, whether negative or positive, and better myself to become the best version of myself to provide to my fans. But more so, if somebody else, I believe that we're all part and parcel of God, and if somebody else is telling me this, I want to be perfect, not for anybody else, but for God. Right. So in order for me to execute that and put that into my next project and get better, I have to take that constructive criticism, that negative criticism, the positive criticism, all of that, and continue to execute and grow and bring the highest quality that I can possibly.
Fantastic. So speaking of that, let's feature this beautiful song of yours. I will be playing out the whole thing, by the way, just, you know,
Thank you.
This is our way to kind of honor you. So now we, you know, we don't play halfway through here. So we are going to feature the whole thing. All right. So I'm just grabbing it out there.
Sadha पे गंगा की धारा माथे पे चांद चकोरा गूंजे हे नाथ शंभुनाथ रे वो तेरे सर पे गंगा की धारा माथे पे चांद चकोरा गूंजे हे नाथ शंभुनाथ रे जय जय भोलेनाथ शंभु महादेव शिव शंकर जय जय भोलेनाथ शंभु महादेव शिव शंकर मन में बसा है रूप तेरा कितना सुंदर है कितना सुंदर है आदि ना अंत है सबके अंदर है सबके अंदर है ये हद खुद की विष का प्याला दुनिया को अमृत दे डाला मेरे शिव है बोला बाला भोलेनाथ दी ओ तेरे सर पे गंगा की धारा माथे पे चांद चकोरा गूंजे हे नाथ शंभुनाथ रे जय जय भोलेनाथ शंभु महादेव शिव शंकर जय जय भोलेनाथ शंभु महादेव शिव शंकर पार दया के खोलो हमको तेरा सहारा है तेरा सहारा है भव सागर हो पार दिल ने तुम्हें पुकारा है तुम्हें पुकारा है करो कृपा त्रिशूलधारी वो तुम भक्तो तुम के भारी तुमको पूजे दुनिया सारी भोलेनाथ दी ओ तेरे सर पे गंगा की धारा माथे पे चांद चकोरा गूंजे हे नाथ शंभुनाथ रे जय जय भोलेनाथ शंभु महादेव शिव शंकर जय जय भोलेनाथ शंभु महादेव शिव शंकर जय जय भोलेनाथ शंभु महादेव शिव शंकर जय
Fantastic. Nice job there. So I have to ask you though, what was going through your head looking back at that production? Something that you were so passionate about.
It
There
makes
is no
me,
question about that.
it definitely makes me emotional every single time. A lot of those events actually did happen to me, like taking the train to work and my mom sends me a text and she would send me a random picture of me, her, and my dad. And I would look down at the phone and see the picture. And then, you know, something would catch my focus outside or something like that. I look back at the phone and I'll see Shiva Uma Ganesh. And my mom would always call me the Ganesh, as she is the Parvati and my dad is the Lord Shiva. And that's how I know from a young age, that's how she would make me remember certain things like, you know, Shiva Uma Ganesh, and having my Guruji be a part of it, my parents be a part of this project. Those are actually my students. That was in the video as well, that I teach at our Mandir, and those are my babies too, and I love them very, very much. they're my little brothers and sisters more than my actual students, and I think they're progressing very well in the culture and in music as well. So having them be a part of it, and then the actual audio, I have everybody that's surrounded me, that's giving me positivity, and such talented individuals that we have here in New York City. My partner Anji Ramdin is in there on background vocals. The co-producer himself, Ashton Ramdihal, son of Rick Ramdihal, is on there as well. Shivan Lakan, this is his first time even singing, the son of Shiva Lakan, and Vishali Sookram, who is like the Nightingale of Guyana, West Indies. She's on there as well, and that is actually my Rocky sister and my sister. And these individuals are literally at my house like almost at least once a week, and we sing and play music together here in New York. And outside of that, we live like brothers and sisters. So it's a family-oriented project. It's a very emotional project, and the vision came to me from Bolenath himself, and it just makes me emotional every time that I see it again. And it's not me that actually wants to see it or plays it back. It's somebody else that always brings it back to my attention. Because after something like that, and all the hard work and everything that's going on currently, you tend to lose track at the fact that you just completed such a fantastic project. And I'm grateful to have the opportunity here with you on your platform, and for all the viewers that are locked on as well, to get to sit back and actually watch it and speak about it in more detail.
For sure. And do know that we are not an online chit chat here, so we do have radio and TV people will be watching and will be
yes, I do know that.
Kind of
But
thing,
everybody
right?
that's listening,
yes, for sure, for sure.
Thank you
Absolutely,
for
for sure. There's no question about that. And I know now is a busy time for a lot of different people and so on, but they will be watching at some point. There's no question about that. So tell me, earlier you mentioned that you've had the opportunity to perform at many places. Do you actually have a favorite venue where you can say, you know what, I cannot wait for this pandemic to kind of ease up so that I can go there and perform again.
That's hard. If I mention one specific venue, there's a lot of people that would get vexed. I love to travel. I've been blessed to travel around the world and to perform in countries that, you would never think that that our culture even exists. Countries such as Mexico and Puerto Rico and, Cuba, and of course the West Indies, Barbados, Jamaica, West Indies, Guyana, South America, Suriname, Trinidad and Tobago. I don't have a specific place or venue that I love. Oh, St. Martin is one of my favorite places to go to. Love St. Martin very, very much. And I think where I feel the most at home, where I feel the most comfortable, as if this is where I belong, is when I'm at my home Munder here in the Bronx. And because of the pandemic and the age group of the devotees that come to our Munder is, I would say, about 80 to 85% senior citizens. So it's just dangerous for their own safety for us to have an open forum, even with social distancing and proper sanitizing and face masks provided and so on. So we haven't really had a full capacity at Munder as we normally do. And, it's something that I speak about all the time with my dad and my mom and my fiance as well. The fact that, before COVID-19 happened and we were sort of forced in a way to adapt to a virtual world, I was already leading that way, right? In doing Facebook live stream for Munder Satsang and any kind of events, Navaratri, Shivratri, so on and so forth. And also cultural events as well, where you get the little Bollywood and the little chutney and stuff involved. We were already en route to really take the virtual programs to a higher level and a higher quality. And it kind of like made us push a little bit harder and faster in perfecting it. And we're not exactly there yet, but I would say that every single event that we've had during the entire pandemic has been better and better.
Yeah.
I've been a part of some fantastic programs, like partnered with Ramdin in Rising Star Challenge, which is I don't want to call it a competition, but it's a platform for our stars, our hidden gems, our diamonds in the rough, as I like to call them, to have a platform to really showcase their talent. So it's not something that we're holding on to, brother. You know what I mean? This is something that we're trying to share, not only with people that have talent, but to bring awareness to everyone else of how much talent exists out there within our community. And that show is going to be a seasonal show. So it will come back again this year, probably after June. We're looking at July, as well as so many other things that we've been blessed with the opportunities to be a part of. We were the United States leg. The Music Movements was the representatives of the United States leg, or the New York City leg, for the Chutney Soca Monarch. That was a complete virtual event this year. And, you know, we were very blessed and fortunate to have given that opportunity and to execute at a very high level. And I'm proud of both the contestants as well as the cast and crew that we had behind that. And the list goes on. We definitely will continue to thrive in that manner. But I would say, to answer your question, I miss Monday. I miss being there with close people that I grew up in front of, and you know, the youth as well that I have. I hold a very high place in their life and in their heart as well. And I miss motivating them and encouraging them, and you know, building the future of tomorrow.
All right, thank you so much for that, Anil. How about people who are watching and who will be watching at some point, the younger folks? I know you are already doing some of that, but what is it that you like to share to them who, you know, have, you know, that little urge of wanting to kind of do something for themselves musically, I'm referring to here, but not knowing how? Most people just kind of just go do their own little thing on social media and so on. I like the idea of bringing people together. Earlier, you really brought up a very interesting piece. I mean, the reality is that people are separating themselves from each other and not even realizing it, right? We need to work more together. There's a need for that. There's no question. There's a reason why we started our diversity and inclusion concert. There's a reason behind it, because regardless of people's differences, in terms of level of experience, age, and all of that, it is totally okay, because we cannot compare apple and oranges. Like, if I have somebody new, brand new, I cannot compare them with you, right? Because you grew up with music, your foundation is totally different, right? And things
Absolutely.
of that kind. So what advice do you have for the newer folks? Because for me, it takes a lot of patience, and doing it for a purpose, and focus on that. Don't focus on the likes and number of shares. I've seen people almost crying on live on Facebook and all of that, man. So please, I want to hear from you, because hearing from you will be really good, because you have a good background when it comes to music.
Yeah, so I would say firstly, thank you for that. But I would say firstly to have some kind of guidance in your lives, in your career path, that if this is something that you're serious about and you definitely want to adapt and mold yourself into becoming a professional, I would definitely have some kind of guidance. I personally didn't have a guru of music. I had several mentors in my life. I had several people that, I got different traits and characteristics and formulas to mold who you see today and who you hear today. But there was really nobody that handed me that. I would say my Guruji was my biggest form of guidance, along with my parents, as I said earlier, that really gave me the gift of how to harness it and turn it into a language, right? So it depends on where you want to go with music. Two, I would say, is to have some kind of guidance. The third thing that I would say is that ask questions. We're in a generation right now where you can go on YouTube and Google and find anything that you want. Literally, how to build a house is there for you at your fingertips. The research, ask questions. And when I say ask questions, I know I was saying earlier to you that I came from a generation where nothing was handed out. You had to earn it. You had to wait for your chance, and respect is a huge thing as well. You couldn't just go beg to sing a song anywhere, right? You had to respect and listen and absorb as much as you can, and that's how you learned. So I chose the route of being a sponge and absorbing everything that I possibly can. And when I was given my chance to highlight my talent in Mundir, people identify that through the love and the passion that I portrayed with it. So I would say to ask questions, because we're not in that generation anymore. Not only do you have the internet and you have everything that's virtually at your fingertips now, but you have individuals like myself. I can't speak on it on behalf of anybody else. I know basically you would say the majority of our industry in abroad and here in New York City, as well as Canada and everywhere else, I've either performed or worked with some of the most popular artists that you can think of. So if at all I cannot give you that kind of guidance, then I can put you in the right hands and the right people to train you and to take you to the next level. So that would be my three things that I would say to the youth of tomorrow, is to know where you're going with it first. Again, ask questions, research, and lastly, get some kind of guidance in your musical path.
All right. Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing that. So my dear fellow listeners and viewers, for those of you who may have just tuned in, keep in mind there are a few different ways to listen to us. You can listen to us on the regular dial, that's the radio, 102.7 CKMS FM. You can listen to us on Rogers digital cable as well, for those of you who have the Rogers digital box on channel 946. It's all Canadian initiative, by the way. So if you're in New York City, don't try to scramble looking for channel 946 or anything of that kind. But of course, obviously, we are also live streaming it. So do take the opportunity to share our page. We are joined by the very talented Anil Sookram, very talented and down-to-earth individual, which is a beautiful thing, because not too often I get to chit chat, with them. Unique. Everybody's unique in their own way, but it's nice to, have different people's perspective is what I'm trying to say. I know, sir, you have other obligation and whatnot, but I must ask you this other question here before we kind of wrap it up.
Yeah.
In life, it is not uncommon for us to go through challenges in life, right? It is just a natural thing. As long as we're born in this world, we are going to encounter all of that. Despite the fact that all of us have had challenges in life, some of us more than some, there's still things we can look back and be grateful for. What are some of the things you're grateful for in your life?
I'm grateful for a lot. I'm grateful for life in general. I'm grateful for good health. I'm grateful for my parents that I was born to. They have instilled, as I said, this knowledge, morals, principles within me from a very young age. I'm very, very grateful for family. It's my biggest motivation. It's what keeps me going. I'm grateful for the musical abilities that God has given me. I'm grateful for education and opportunities that were given to me as well in education to achieve the knowledge that I need, the wisdom that I need to execute on what I really want to do and my goals in life, and have a very rewarding career that can fund my passion. I'm grateful for a beautiful fiance that I'm going to marry in 2 months.
Oh, excellent. Congratulations, by the way.
Thank you. I'm grateful for the individuals that I've been blessed with in music, the many, many talented musicians and artists that I've played music with, sang with, and also met through music. And my team is super strong. I keep it very tight and niche. friends with the entire world, but my inner circle is very, very tight. And I like to keep it that way because when being positive is a job in itself. Waking up every morning and refreshing and tackling your day is a fresh start day to day. But in order to have a positive mindset, it's very, very hard to do. It's a job in itself to do that on a daily basis. So you have to have faith. You have to believe that there is a supreme being. And more importantly, you have to surround yourselves with people that will motivate you and push you to do better and be the best version of yourself. So I could not be more thankful for the team that I have around me and my inner circle. It's very, very strong and unified. And I'm very grateful for them and I love them. And lastly, I'm thankful for my friends, family, and my fans. I love all of you genuinely. And I thank you for your supports and motivating me to continue raising the bar and continue doing what I do. So yeah, those are a bit of the things that I'm very thankful for. But thank you for that question. I'm thankful for that question because I don't get to speak like this either. Like you mentioned, you don't get to chit chat or there's a lot of people who would see or hear me but don't know who I am. And those I'm blessed that those who have had the opportunity or have given me the opportunity to meet them. I usually have a great relationship with everybody that I come across. So I'm thankful for all of you. And Mr. Narine Dat, sir, thank you very much for this platform and having me be a part of it and choosing me to be one of your guest artists.
Well, thank you for sharing that. We always ask that question because it is easier for us to, as human beings, of course, it is so much easier for us to focus on the negative pieces in life. So we really try our best to, put a positive spin because I know we live in a challenging time with a pandemic right now. It is not easy for so many different people. It's hard, but there's still things we can look back and be grateful for. And I don't want to kind of rub it here, but I'm more successful because of the pandemic. If it wasn't for the pandemic, I would have been okay too. But I'm so it goes to show that sometimes good thing can come out of challenging times as well too, right?
Absolutely. And we have to find a way. We have to find a way to pivot, no matter what curveballs God may throw at us, right? So it is good in a sense, despite those who may have suffered losses and illness. I'm actually suffering a loss right now. As I told you earlier, my uncle passed away on Saturday evening. And myself, my mother, and my father are traveling to Florida tomorrow to do his final rites. But still, I'm actually getting on a virtual wake right after this until we're there in person tomorrow. But still, we have to find some kind of way to bring support to one another, bring solace to one another, and pivot during times like this. So I couldn't agree with you more. I'm very successful during the pandemic as well, thank God. I've been working from home for over a year now, and I wouldn't have been able to do all of this and things that I would normally want to do if I wasn't working from home. So I'm grateful for that as well.
Awesome. Well, I have to respect the fact that you have to go, but I want you to know that I appreciate you so very much. I wouldn't, I wouldn't change a thing about yourself if I were you. You are just a unique individual, and just continue to be a better version of yourself. You've said it yourself, right? You have a good foundation. You are a very you can make the most out of life. You are a person who can think outside of the box. What I'm getting from you is that you're not living for the sake only for yourself, but the sake of others, and maybe not even realizing it. You are living your life because you know that you have a purpose and you're fulfilling your purpose and all of that, right? You've kind of said it in so many different ways. And one of the things that I like about you, though, is that you are very consistent when you speak. It doesn't matter where you speak, whether it be you just, speaking on your own, Facebook Live or wherever you are, you're very consistent. And that speaks volume as to who you are, right? As a person, right? You're not being a different person. You're just who you are. And that's a powerful thing. So do know I recognize that. I encourage you to stay the same. Very quickly, though, if there's anything you would like to add maybe things you would have liked to share, things that pop up that I didn't, that you would have liked to share that I didn't ask you, please go ahead and feel free to do that if you so choose. If not, we will wrap it up. But do know that I appreciate you, and and whatever you share here will definitely benefit people who are watching, listening, and will be watching and listening at some point.
Well, I genuinely appreciate the opportunity to be on your platform. I've been following you for quite some time. We've been friends on Facebook for a little while now as well. We've never met in person, but I genuinely appreciate you as well, and I hope to meet you in person sooner rather than later. To each and everyone that's locked on all of the different streams that this is being aired on right now, whether on radio or on Facebook or wherever else. I thank you all for tuning into not only this platform, but for continuing to giving me motivation and support in what I do. And for those who are just meeting or knowing me this evening, then it's a pleasure to be of your acquaintance. And I hope to meet and sing for all of you one day soon. You can follow me on Facebook, Instagram. It's Anil Inyuh Duniya, which is not derogatory at all.
Thank you for the clarification there. Is awesome.
Most West Indians would take it as a derogatory statement. Dunya actually means world in Hindi, so it's bringing my world to yours. Anil Inyuh Duniya on both Facebook as well as Instagram. And my email, my phone number is very public. You can feel free to reach out to me at any time. And please continue to follow and support the not only the music, but all of the different projects and collaborations that we have going on to take our culture to the next level and make it mainstream. And yeah, it was a joy to sit with you for the past hour. And I hope to do it again soon, maybe live in studio at one point.
Absolutely. Oh, yes, for sure. This is just the beginning, but I'm glad you took the time. And that in itself also speaks volume of you as an individual, because the easiest thing for you to have done was just say to me, Narine, I cannot make it now. Let's do it some other time. But it goes to show your passion, your understanding, your motivation, and that's the special thing about you, right? And I guess you're not taking the shortcut, so that's awesome.
No. The purpose always remains the same. Yeah. The purpose always remains the same, and therefore the messaging naturally will remain the same. And I am also a man of my word, and I gave you my word that the opportunity is mine, all right? It's not only yours and everyone else. It was mine, and I'm thankful for the opportunity, and I'm glad you reached out to me, because eventually I would have probably reached out to you to be a part of this as well. And yeah, I look forward to future collaborations and hearing from everybody on the feedback of tonight's program and what they think. And please continue to support and follow myself as well as Mr. Narine Dat. This is a great thing that you have going here. And I commend you. And you have a fan in me as well.
All right. So my dear fellow listeners, I have to respect the fact that you have to go. So my dear fellow listeners and viewers, as we are approaching the end of tonight's program, I would like to take this opportunity to thank you for tuning in to Let's Chit Chat with Narine Dat. Please remember to tune in to us again next time, where we're going to have another special guest. On behalf of myself and our very unique individual, Anil Sookram, both of us would like to join together and wish you a great today and even a better tomorrow. We'll talk to you soon.